It sounds like a miracle drug. Boys who are slowly dying from a form of muscular dystrophy get on a new medicine and make a remarkable turnaround with no side effects.
So why won't the Food and Drug Administration let a 10-year-old Bellevue boy take it? His mother called the problem solvers, and Como4's Molly Shen went looking for answers.
But luck was a major factor in the plan. If the Comancheros caught Grimes or even got within sight.
If fifth grader Aiden Leffler stands out in his class, it's because he's laser focused for a 10-year-old.
As Francis and the two children had moved north in the dark, my dream job would probably be a biologist or zoologist.
While other kids are watching the clock count down to recess, Aiden might be a little less anxious.
Who's staying in today? Alina and Anthony.
Aiden isn't going to recess today or any day. Aiden has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. The disease strikes young boys, keeping their bodies from producing a protein that repairs and builds muscle after exercise. Instead, Aiden's muscles break down as he uses them. He can't play sports, ride a bike, or even run.
Sometimes I'll put my foot down, but it won't be there. So I kind of trip and my leg kind of collapses. And other times I just get sore in that place.
There is no cure for Duchenne, and the disease progression is well documented.
It's really predictable what will happen to him. First they lose the ability to go upstairs, and he's also losing the ability to get off the floor by himself, and then he'll lose the ability to walk after that.
Next, boys with Duchenne lose the use of their arms. Eventually, their lungs and heart will fail. No one survives. But 12 young boys might be rewriting what we know about the disease.
Good job, Max.
They are the first to take a new drug called eteplirsen. Max McNary has been taking eteplirsen for nearly 2.5 years. His mother now posts celebratory videos of walking.
Max is going to invite a friend over who lives in that building way over there.
Running.
Hey, Max, come back.
And the joy of playing baseball with neighborhood kids. The drug doesn't help Duchenne boys regain function already lost, but it does keep them from deteriorating with zero side effects. Aiden's doctor would like to write a prescription for eteplirsen too, but there is one thing standing in the way: the FDA.
It's a slow process, way too slow for our kids and families who are wanting access to this drug, way too slow for providers like me who are watching boys who potentially would benefit from this drug who are losing function.
The FDA is reviewing eteplirsen, but calls the status confidential information, noting that the FDA has reached no conclusions about the drug. Advocates are asking the FDA to grant accelerated approval under a 2012 law aimed at getting life-saving drugs to market quickly. Mindy Leffler and other moms assembled the dream team of Duchenne doctors and researchers, brought them to the FDA, and lobbied for eteplirsen's approval.
Every single one of them was there because they believe in the efficacy of this drug. And so it's not really me as a parent that's just saying, I believe in this, I've seen the science and it's impressive. It's literally the world's top minds in Duchenne that are saying the same thing.
That was nearly 2 months ago, and the family still hasn't had a response. As they've waited, they've seen a marked change in Aiden, who will likely need a wheelchair soon.
I think that he's probably good for a year, I would guess, but the drug takes 6 months to take effect. So we're running out of time. So I keep telling myself if I can just get it in his body by the time he's 11, then maybe he'll have a shot.
Aiden's doctor told me he's not the only local child who could benefit from eteplirsen. She has several other Duchenne patients who are losing muscle function while they wait for FDA approval. For the Problem Solvers, Molly Shen, Como4 News.
Medical procedures can be life-saving, and in some cases, they're life-changing. A local woman went to the doctor for what she hoped was a simple problem. Como4's Molly Shen reports she left the hospital weeks later with a whole new view of life.
When Colleen Gokas looks out over Occidental Park, she can't see the people and the landmarks perfectly, but she doesn't need 20/20 vision for clarity. 10 months ago, the streets were her home.
You just feel a lot of shame, too. You feel like not very good about yourself, like how did I get to this point?
Colleen's spiral began in 2011 when her 10-year-old son Daniel accidentally suffocated while playing hide and seek. After his death, Colleen says she started drinking more, became depressed, dropped out of culinary school, and was kicked out of her rental home. Navigating this new life was even more complicated because Colleen was losing her vision.
I would like fall on curbs. I'd fall on mostly a lot of steps. I couldn't navigate, you know, how high they were. I did feel like I was going to go blind. And things like remembering what my kids looked like, what my mom looked like, you know, being able to feed myself.
As Colleen's world grew darker, her remaining vision played tricks on her. Sometimes everything looked like it was covered in a paisley pattern. She saw graffiti on buildings that wasn't really there. She reached out to touch snow that didn't exist. In addition to going blind,
I really thought I was kind of going crazy too. I was terrified that I was hopeless.
Hey, Colleen. How are you doing today?
Good.
By the time she wound up at Harborview Medical Center, Colleen was completely blind in her left eye and had lost the majority of vision in her right. She was argumentative and unreasonable. Doctors Raghu Mudumbai and Lalagam Shekhar found a medical shocker.
Can't think, you're confused, and you can't see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the worst combination, isn't it? Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
A giant, non-cancerous brain tumor the size of a grapefruit was pressing on the optic nerves, wiping out Colleen's vision. Remarkably, that tumor was also changing her behavior.
It grows and compresses both frontal lobes. The frontal lobes are responsible for our memory, judgment, thinking.
Dr. Shekhar removed the tumor in an 8-hour surgery. Colleen woke up in the hospital, and for the first time in months,
I saw color again, because it was all gray before. So having the colors was really neat.
And as Colleen's vision returns,
Over there, look up there.
so could her ability to make healthy decisions. Her doctors believe the tumor might have kept her from asking for help when she needed it, and that it played a role in choices she made that put her on the streets. Her vision is still limited, but an MRI shows the tumor isn't growing back. Her eyesight is returning.
Well, once again, thank you for saving my life.
You're welcome, you're welcome. All right.
And so is her hope. Molly Shen, Como 4 News.
Colleen will also have radiation to make sure the tumor does not return. Patients like Colleen benefit from Harborview's Charity Care Program, which in 2012 provided $210 million in care to people who couldn't pay.
2 babies in our state were born with a very rare immune system disorder within just months of each other.
One died after simply catching a cold. The other is thriving today thanks to a simple difference. He was born after state-mandated testing for the disease.
On April 7th of this year, Ezra Dixon made his debut with 10 fingers, 10 toes, and all the other signs of perfection new parents count on. But as the Dixons celebrated, a tiny drop of Ezra's blood was in a lab, undergoing the newborn screening test every child in the state receives. The test now includes a screening for severe combined immunodeficiency, or SCID. Ezra was nearly the 23,000th baby tested, and the first hit.
We're just really confused by everything because he seemed completely fine, but the blood test showed that he didn't have a full immune system.
SCID is more commonly known as the bubble boy disease, made famous in the 1976 movie starring John Travolta. We've come a long way since the film about a young man kept in plastic-sealed rooms to protect him from germs. Today, a bone marrow transplant can rebuild a baby's immune system. But until a match is found,
Hey, Bubba.
Germs are a major concern.
You need to get up.
Ezra was never quarantined in a plastic bubble, but he was separated from his brother. The common cold could have ravaged Ezra's little body.
If he were to get sick, he wouldn't have any way to be able to fight that. And so 2-year-old is an incubator for all sorts of germs and stuff, so they needed them to stay separated.
Oh, yay! But it turned out while Judah's germs had the potential to be lethal, his bone marrow had the power to cure. The brothers were a match. Doctors were able to do a transplant while Ezra was still healthy. Before screening, babies were terribly ill before SCID was diagnosed, let alone treated.
We, in a way, have outsmarted the disease. We've caught up to it and been able to figure it out. You know, it's just exciting to actually feel like you're one step ahead, whereas before you always were 10 steps behind.
Getting SCID into the state screening took 3 years of appeals to the state legislature. The taxpayer cost is $8.10 per child. Ezra is the payoff.
To me, there's no question. It should be in every state. I can't put words to how thankful I am that, that we have this screening now. Yeah.
By the time Ezra takes his first steps, he'll have no memory of his medical ordeal or Judah's gift. But these brothers are bonded by blood and marrow.
In the long run, he's going to grow up, both of them are going to grow up knowing, oh God, that he saved his brother's life. And without it, even now we may not have him.
Parents who lost babies to SCID testified to our state legislature and helped make the screening become law here. The Dixons are grateful to those parents and say they'll also travel to states without SCID screening to share Ezra's story.